You know what's wild to me? I've been around enough older people in my life, through work, through family, through just paying attention, and I noticed something that honestly stopped me in my tracks. There are people out there who are 86, 88, even 92 years old, and they are not just surviving, they are actually living, like genuinely living, smiling, moving around on their own, cracking jokes, eating real food, enjoying their days. And then there are people who hit their late 70s and just start falling apart, getting bedridden, losing their independence, losing themselves. And for the longest time, I kept asking, what is the actual difference here? Because it is not just luck, it is not just genetics. There is something these long-living people did, or rather something they stopped doing around the age of 75, that completely changed the direction of their health. That is what this video is about. 5 things, 5 quiet, almost invisible decisions that separate the people who thrive past 85 from the ones who don't. And before you think this is going to be some drink more water, take a walk type of advice, it is not. Some of what I am going to tell you is going to genuinely surprise you, because a few of these things people actually believe they are healthy habits, and that right there is exactly the trap. So, if you have been doing everything you think is right, but something still feels off in your body, or you just have a nagging feeling that something needs to shift, stay with me. This is for you. Grab something warm to drink, get comfortable, because we're going to talk about this like real people. And look, even if just one thing I say today lands with you, that one thing could change how your body feels tomorrow. That is not an exaggeration. That is just how this works. Okay, so before I get into the list, I need to tell you something about your body first, because if you skip this part, the 5 habits are not going to make full sense to you. There's this concept in human psychology and behavioral medicine called the stress recovery cycle. Basically, your entire life up until your mid-70s, your body operated on this principle. You push yourself, your body gets stressed, and then it recovers and comes back stronger. That's how muscles grow. That's how mental sharpness builds. That's how resilience develops. Stress, then recovery, then growth. But here's what changes around age 75, and this is backed by real research from places like the National Institute on Aging. Your body's repair system starts working differently. The recovery part of that cycle slows way down. Your cells regenerate slower. Your muscles do not bounce back the same way. Your brain needs more time to rest. So if you keep pushing yourself the exact same way you did at 65, you're not building yourself up anymore, you're actually wearing yourself down. There's even a term for this in behavioral science called allostatic overload, which basically means your body is carrying more stress than it can process, and the damage starts stacking up, quietly, invisibly, until one day it's not invisible anymore. People who make it to 85 and beyond, they figured this out. Some of them figured it out consciously, some just felt it intuitively. Either way, they stopped trying to build and started focusing on protecting and maintaining what they already had. That's the whole foundation of everything I am about to share with you. All right? Number 1, and this one genuinely shocked me when I first learned about it. People who stay strong and mobile and independent well into their 80s stopped forcing themselves to eat light. I know, that sounds backwards. Stay with me. A lot of people over 75 are eating what they genuinely believe is the responsible, healthy thing to do, cutting back on meat, mostly vegetables, avoiding anything fatty, keeping meals small and simple, maybe some rice, some soup, maybe some lightly pickled vegetables on the side. Very minimal, very careful. And I want you to hear this clearly.
After age 75, that kind of eating is not protecting you. It's quietly draining you from the inside out. Here's why. There's this condition called age-related malnutrition, and it's way more common than people realize. As you get older, your digestive system becomes less efficient at pulling nutrients out of your food, so even if you're eating the same amount you always did, your body is actually absorbing significantly less of what it needs. Now add on top of that the fact that you're deliberately eating light and cutting out whole food groups, and you have a serious problem. When you don't get enough protein, your body starts breaking down your own muscle tissue to function. This leads to something called sarcopenia, which is the medical term for age-related muscle loss. And once your leg muscles start weakening, your balance gets unstable, your coordination gets off, and your risk of falling, which I'll talk more about later, goes through the roof. But it doesn't stop at muscles. Your blood vessels are made of protein. Your internal organs are largely made of protein. When you're not getting enough, those structures weaken too, and that's when the risk of serious events, like strokes, starts climbing. And then there's fat. So many people have been told their whole lives that fat is the enemy, but research from institutions like the National Institute on Aging actually suggests that in adults over 75, slightly higher cholesterol levels are often associated with lower death rates, not higher, lower. Fat is not optional at this stage. It forms your cell walls. It supports your hormone system. It literally makes up about 60% of your brain. When you cut out fat, you're cutting off your brain's fuel supply. Now, look at the people in their mid-80s who are actually doing well. Really look at them. They eat real food. A piece of grilled fish, a good steak now and then, something fried occasionally, eggs, butter, full meals that actually taste like something. They understand that at this age, the real danger is not gaining a few pounds. The real danger is becoming thin and fragile. Think of a little extra body weight after 75 as a reserve, a buffer, protection. So, starting today, stop punishing yourself with a diet that's meant for a different body at a different stage of life. Feed your body what it's actually asking for. Give it protein, give it fat, give it real nourishment. That's where it starts. Number 2, and this one genuinely feels really counterintuitive, especially if you're someone who's always been disciplined and structured.
People who stay strong past 85 stopped forcing themselves to wake up at the exact same time every single morning. Maybe you have had the same morning routine for decades, 6 a.m. alarm, up and moving, proud of it. And there is nothing wrong with that discipline, but after 75, rigidly enforcing that kind of schedule on your body, especially around sleep, can start working against you in ways you would not expect. Here's what's happening biologically. As you age, your production of melatonin, which is the hormone that regulates your sleep cycle, decreases. Deep sleep becomes shorter, more fragmented. It becomes totally normal to wake up in the middle of the night or earlier than planned in the morning and not be able to fall back asleep. This is not a sign that something is wrong with you. This is literally just how the human body changes over time. It's called sleep architecture shift, and it is completely natural after a certain age. The problem is not the waking up. The problem is what happens next. If you force yourself to stay in bed because the clock says you should still be sleeping, but your body is wide awake, that is stress on your nervous system. And if you get up feeling like you failed at sleeping and you start the day with anxiety about whether you slept enough, that chronic low-grade stress, what psychologists call anticipatory anxiety around sleep, quietly raises your cortisol levels and can contribute to elevated blood pressure over time. The people who sleep well into their 80s are not rigid about it. They are intuitive about it. They go to bed when their body feels tired, not when the clock says it is bedtime. They wake up when their body is ready, not when an alarm tells them to. If they're awake at 3 a.m. and cannot get back down, they do not fight it. They get up, maybe read something light, have a warm drink, sit quietly, and go back to sleep when the drowsiness comes back naturally. And naps, they take naps without any guilt whatsoever, because they understand that total sleep across a full day matters more than whether all of that sleep happened in one perfect uninterrupted block at night. Think of sleep like eating. You do not have to eat everything in one sitting. You can spread it across the day. Same principle applies. Let go of the alarm clock. Start listening to your body instead. That one small shift can take so much unnecessary fatigue and stress out of your daily life. Number 3, and this one I need you to really hear, because I have seen what happens when people get this wrong. People who stay healthy past 85 stopped trying to manage or reduce their medications on their own. There's a lot of noise right now, online, in magazines, in wellness communities, about how medications are overused, how doctors prescribe too much, how you should try to live naturally and get off as many pills as possible. And I understand the appeal of that thinking. I really do. Nobody wants to be dependent on a handful of pills every morning. But here's what I have seen happen, and it's genuinely heartbreaking. Someone feels good, maybe they've been feeling good for a few months, and they decide, I think my blood pressure is under control. Maybe I can try cutting back on this medication. So they do, on their own, without telling their doctor. And then, a few weeks later, they're in the emergency room with a stroke. I have seen this more than once. Here's what's happening in the body. As you age, your blood vessels age with you. They lose elasticity. They become stiffer and more fragile. If you're on blood pressure medication, that medication is keeping everything stable inside those vessels. The moment you take it away, pressure fluctuates. Those stiff, fragile walls have to absorb that fluctuation, and sometimes they cannot. And the terrifying part is that it rarely gives you a warning. It just happens. There's a cognitive bias at play here called the feeling good fallacy, which is basically our brain's tendency to interpret feeling fine right now as I no longer have a medical condition. But conditions like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol don't necessarily make you feel bad while they're building up damage. The medication is working because you feel fine, not the other way around. People who live independently and actively into their 80s treat their medications the same way they treat using a cane or holding a hand drill. It's a tool. It's support. It helps them stay stable. There's no shame in it. There's just practicality and self-respect. If you genuinely feel like something about your current medication doesn't feel right, or if you're worried about taking too much, that's a valid concern, and you should absolutely bring it up, but bring it up with your doctor. Together with someone who knows your full health picture, you can make a real informed decision, not alone in your kitchen at 7 in the morning. That's the smart move, every single time. Number 4, and this one is deeply personal. This one is about who you let into your daily life.
people who stay vibrant and healthy into their late 80s quietly stopped maintaining relationships out of obligation. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. Are there people in your life right now that you're only still connected to because you feel like you have to be? A family event you dread, but you go anyway because it would cause drama if you didn't. Former colleagues who call and spend the whole conversation pointing out what you could have done differently in your career. A neighbor you chat with regularly, even though every conversation leaves you feeling vaguely worse than before. In your younger years, keeping a wide social network made sense. It had social and even career value. But after 75, the research is really clear on this, and it connects directly to something called psychosocial stress, which is the chronic low-level stress that comes from social interactions that feel draining or threatening. When you spend time with people who make you feel judged, compared, or just plain exhausted, your body releases cortisol. That's the primary stress hormone. And according to research from the National Institute on Aging, chronically elevated cortisol weakens your immune system. It increases inflammation in your body. It literally accelerates the biological aging process at the cellular level. So you are not just feeling emotionally drained, you are physically aging faster because of it. Now look at the people in their 80s who seem genuinely happy, not performing happiness, actually living it. Their social lives are small and intentional. They spend time with the people who genuinely fill them up, and they have very gently stepped back from the ones who don't. You might be worried about what people will think if you start saying no more. What if they think you're being cold or antisocial? Here's the thing. At this stage of your life, what someone else thinks of your social calendar matters so much less than how you feel getting out of bed every morning. You can simply say you've been more tired lately and you're trying to keep things slower these days. Most people will get it. And the ones who don't, the ones who make you feel guilty for protecting your peace, those are honestly the exact people you need a little distance from. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. Loneliness is painful. Solitude is a choice. And when you fill your quiet time with music you love, or a warm drink in a comfortable chair, or a slow walk somewhere peaceful, that kind of solitude nourishes you in a way that a draining social obligation never could. Do not give your limited, precious time to relationships that cost you your health. Keep it for the people who actually matter to you, who actually show up for you, who leave you feeling better than when they arrived. That matters more than most people realize. And number 5. This last one might sting a little, but I need to say it because not hearing it could genuinely cost you your independence. People who stay active and strong well past 85 stopped pretending they were still as physically capable as they were decades ago. And before you get defensive, hear me out. Because this is not about giving up. This is actually about being really, really smart. What does this look like in everyday life? It looks like walking down the stairs without touching the railing because you don't think you need to. It looks like pulling on your socks while standing up because sitting down to do it feels like admitting something. It looks like carrying all 5 grocery bags at once because you don't want anyone to see you struggle. These tiny moments, these small, pride-driven decisions, they are where the most life-changing accidents happen. After age 75, a fall is not just a fall. In older adults, a fall is frequently the beginning of a much longer, much harder road. It often means hospitalization, surgery, weeks or months of rehabilitation, and during that recovery period, muscle strength drops fast, cognitive function can decline, the independence that took a lifetime to build can erode shockingly quickly, and sometimes it does not fully come back. There's a neurological concept at play here called proprioceptive decline, which basically means your brain's real-time map of where your body is in space becomes less accurate as you age. So your brain tells you that you lifted your foot 6 inches off the ground, but your foot actually only came up 2 inches, and that 4-inch gap is enough to catch a rug corner or the edge of a step and put you on the floor. This is not a character flaw. This is just physiology. The people who are still walking confidently and living on their own at 88 are not doing it because they are physically superior. They're doing it because they have accepted reality with honesty and zero ego about it. When they see stairs, the hand goes to the railing automatically, no hesitation. When they put on their shoes, they sit down first. When a crosswalk signal starts flashing, they do not rush. They wait for the next one. Calm, patient, and smart. This is not weakness. This is what people in risk management call hazard mitigation. You're identifying a realistic threat, and you're neutralizing it before it can hurt you. A handrail is not humiliating. A cane is not defeat. These are tools that protect your independence, and choosing to use them is one of the most genuinely strong decisions a person can make. Accepting that your body has changed is not giving up on yourself. It is actually the beginning of learning how to live really well in this new version of your life. Okay, so let's bring this all together because I want to make sure this really lands. The 5 things that people who stay strong and independent past 85 quietly stopped doing around age 75. They stopped forcing themselves to eat only what they thought was healthy and started actually feeding their body what it needs: protein, fat, real nourishment. They stopped rigidly enforcing a fixed wake-up schedule and started letting sleep happen in a way that actually fits their body's natural rhythm, even if that means napping, even if that means waking up at 4 a.m. and reading for a while. They stopped trying to manage or cut back their medications on their own and started using those medications as the protective tools they are, working with their doctors instead of around them. They stopped keeping up relationships out of guilt or habit and started protecting their emotional and physical energy by choosing who they spend their time with more intentionally. And they stopped letting pride drive small daily decisions that put their physical safety at risk and started using every tool available: handrails, seated routines, patience at crosswalks, to stay on their feet and stay independent. If you have watched this far, I want to say something to you directly. You have worked hard, maybe for decades, for your family, for your career, for other people. You have pushed through things. You have carried things. You have shown up even when it was hard. That is genuinely admirable, and you deserve every bit of the respect that comes with it. But you do not have to keep proving that to anyone, not even to yourself. Not anymore. Life after 75 is not supposed to be another test of how much you can endure. It is supposed to be the part where you actually get to experience what you built. The quiet mornings, the good food, the laughter with people you genuinely love, the slow walks, the peaceful days. None of the changes we talked about today cost money. None of them require you to be physically stronger than you are. They just require a little honesty, a little humility, and the courage to be kinder to yourself than maybe you have ever let yourself be. Even letting go of just one of these things can make your body feel noticeably lighter. And with that lighter feeling, you get to actually notice the world around you again. really taste your food, really hear the laughter, really be present in the moments that matter. Your body knows what it needs. Trust it more than the rules. Trust it more than what society expects from someone your age. Trust it more than your own pride. Because that trust, that honest and humble relationship with your own body, that is what carries people to 90, to 95, and beyond. Happy, moving, alive. If something I said today sat with you, or if there is a habit you have already let go of, and you felt the difference, I really want to hear about it. Drop it in the comments, because your story might be exactly what someone else scrolling through this needs to read today. And if you're not subscribed yet, take a second and do that now, because I'm going to keep sharing things like this. Real, practical, honest conversations about living longer and living better without burning yourself out in the process. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself today, and I'll see you in the next one.